coming to you from the grooviest town in America. Give it up for Ralph Zig Tycho, straight from San Francisco.
Wow. Nice intro, Paulie.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting us on. We have a returning guest 2 or 3 weeks ago, Lenny Levine.
Levine
was on, and he was so much fun and so enjoyable, and a big Met fan. I had to get him on so we could mourn the passing of 2024 and the New York Mets. Welcome back, Lenny.
Thank you, Ralph. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. Believe me. We were talking off the air a little bit about basically what I wanted to talk to you on the air. So I'll try to recreate our conversation of you grew up in Brooklyn, and
Correct.
I found out it was Lafayette High School, and Lafayette High School was the high school of Sandy Koufax. And did he have a rep? He was a few years before you. Did he signed as a bonus baby? So he must have been, when you were in high school, he must have been a bonus baby on the Dodger roster.
Correct.
Did the students at Lafayette refer to him on a constant basis, or talking about knowing him and what have you? Was it cool to be a Lafayette high school guy at that time?
I thought it was.
Okay.
Sandy Koufax was not that he was like on everyone's tongue, but we were very well aware of the fact that he was now with the Brooklyn Dodgers as a bonus baby, and that he was an alumnus of Lafayette High School, and so I happened to be fortunate enough to be present at Ebbets Field when he pitched his first game there for the Dodgers.
Wow.
It turned out to be his second major league start. He had made one in Cincinnati before that. But my friend and I were, writing in the lineups and whatever. The pitchers were beginning to warm up, and we looked and we said, "Oh my God, look who it is!" I think he was just put in there as a starter at the last minute or whatever. But we were, my friend and I might have been the only two people in the park that knew who he was. This number 32 that's warming up,
Right. Now we're talking about three Jews in one place. And I was talking to Peter Trunk on the air, who was a guest last week, about Norm Sherry.
Yeah.
And can you elaborate on Norm Sherry and how he helped Sandy Koufax? Speaking of Jews,
I don't have any particular knowledge about that more than other people.
Yeah.
I just know at the time, and this was already after they were out in LA, that Norm Sherry came into any kind of prominence as far as I can remember. Johnny Roseborough was the third catcher in Brooklyn in that final year.
Right.
But not Norm Sherry yet. So really the LA part of it was after my time, so to speak.
Okay. Well, he was Larry Sherry's brother.
Brother, yes.
And he was on an airplane once going from one city to another. And he said, Sandy, he was a wild, having trouble with control. And speaking of bonus babies, I don't think it helped his career, his early career, being forced to in the major leagues without minor league apprenticeship.
That's right.
So he really was great potential, wild man. And Norm Sherry told him on the plane, he says, try this. Go at 80% of your ability or your fastball or whatever, and see if he can't get it over the plate more, and see. And he
I don't
Sandy
know.
credited Norm Sherry for
Yeah,
turning his career around. So now we're talking about me. Paulie's half Jewish. I'm teaching him Yiddish.
He's teaching me Yiddish.
Me, you, your friend Norm Sherry, and Sandy Koufax, all on one podcast. So, Zig In The Zone.
I
It's anyway. It's the pride we have. We certainly do to address Judaism a little bit. We all have such tremendous pride in being Jewish. I don't know of many people, many Jews who, whatever their religious belief is, if it's cultural or whatever, they're proud of our heritage. And just had to say that on my podcast it's cathartic for me.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of similarities between being a Brooklyn Dodger fan and being Jewish, which is we're the underdogs. The Dodgers were always the underdogs.
I,
Um,
I
and,
think
and,
their first
and the
base
Jewish
coach,
people have always been underdogs.
their first base coach was Pitler.
Jake Pitler,
And
right?
he was Jewish.
Hmm.
And look, that idea of rooting for the underdog didn't go lost on me. I hated the Dodgers growing up.
Oh, that's right. You were a Giant fan.
I was a Giant fan,
Yeah.
but my memories, I love those guys. I love that I had Irene Hodges on my show several times to relate stories of Gil, who I thought was tremendous, even if he was a Dodger. I thought Gilliam was great, Furillo, but I just hated the team overall. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But losing both of those teams in '57 and Campy getting hurt
Oh,
in the off season of that
devastating.
was just, I was like 12 and 11 or 12. It was devastating, both as from a baseball standpoint and a Brooklyn, New York standpoint. We never, we were a city of the World Series had to be played in New York. We thought it was our birthright.
Yeah, I know.
And from that, years later, 4 or 5 years, born the birth of the Mets with Gil Hodges and others. And losing was something that you had to, the first year was cool, everybody has the National League back. I tired of it quickly. As a Met fan, who did you root for, or how did you get your baseball fix from '57 on until the Mets were born?
Okay, well, 57 was the last year the Dodgers were in Brooklyn. So it was 58, 59, 60, 61. And during those 4 years, I would go up to Yankee Stadium and buy a bleacher ticket and sit in the bleachers and root for whatever team was playing the Yankees, which was pretty much a frustrating experience most of the time. But I did see them lose a doubleheader to the Washington Senators. And Camilo Pascual, the Washington pitcher in the first game, hit a grand slam home run off of the right field foul pole, like 296 feet away. And it was a grand slam. And they won that game, and then they won the second game, and I couldn't believe it. I just saw the Yankees lose a doubleheader to the Washington Senators. It was one of the highlights of my life.
Well, when you were on a couple of weeks ago, you started to tell us about the Milwaukee Braves playing the Mets in a doubleheader,
Yes,
and you missed the first game,
right.
came in late for the second game.
That's correct.
I was
Yes.
forced, after seeing Hobie Landreth hit a home run against Warren Spahn, which
To hit,
was no mean trick. I mean,
yeah,
he was spawny.
yeah.
In the first game, it was Yom Kippur, and I had to get home and take my brother home or
Oh,
to relatives' house for a service. I highly resented having to leave a baseball game,
sure.
but I missed the second game. And who hit a home run to win in the second game?
Bill Hodges to right field,
Right.
right stands opposite field home run.
Yeah. So I don't think there are many people that saw one game and their buddy, now my buddy, saw the
So the
second
second
game
game, 60 years, 62 years later.
60 years later.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we could have passed each other as you were walking out. I could have
absolutely,
passed you as I was walking in.
absolutely. I
We
wouldn't
heard
recognize.
Landreth's
I
home run from
wouldn't have
outside.
recognized you because you look younger then. You
I did, yes.
oh, I meant to say you look younger now. You are one of the youngest looking people for your age
Thank you.
going. So
I don't think I did anything to bring that about, but
well, I think you did. I think staying young has a lot to do with your spirit, the way you accept life, the way you're not stressed out constantly like people are, which I think ages one
very much.
considerably how one responds to the ups and downs. And it ain't easy. Believe
No,
me.
I agree with you. I mean, my kids alone not only gave me gray hair and a bald spot and all these, they call them laugh lines. I don't know why they call them laugh lines because
It
I was
ain't fun.
screaming. I was screaming the whole time, and so, but they even gave me the stretch marks. I have stretch marks from 5 kids, and it's this is just killing me.
Well,
And so
you
I feel
made
your pain, my young brother.
you competed with the Virgin Mary on some level in that.
Yes, on some
Male
level.
stretch marks. That's really
Right.
that's empathy.
Well, a female virgin giving birth, so
That's right. Well,
there's all kinds of craziness going on,
yeah.
and it's all
It's the new
Meshuggah.
math. It's driving the kids out of the school.
Right.
I'm sorry. Anyways.
And they don't get to say the Pledge of Allegiance
Oh,
anymore.
horrors.
And that's ruined a generation. Can you imagine going to and not saying the Pledge of Allegiance and that and
I was old enough. I am old enough to remember that the Pledge of Allegiance before the words "under God" were inserted in it.
oh yes, there was
And I remember I might have been in the fourth grade then, or the fifth grade, somewhere in there. We were informed that we now have to say "one nation under God, indivisible." And to me, my first reaction was it just knocked off the whole rhythm of it. You know,
right.
One nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now you had to go one nation under God, indivisible. It was like interrupting the flow of it to add these two words.
Well, wasn't it the other way around? Didn't they take the God out?
No, it
Well,
was
they put the
added
God in.
again during the Eisenhower administration as some sort of argument against communism. That we were under God. The communists didn't believe in God. So this was essential for our patriotism to add under God to it.
And then
And
in
that's
the
what we did.
70s, it was a big thing where there was other religions and people piping up and saying, "Oh wait, what do you mean under God? Which God? Who's God?" And
Right.
so
Sure.
that's when they started kind of rallying the troops, so to speak, and trying to get it out of schools. And I think it ended up being like in the early 80s.
Okay.
like 80, 81 or something. They took
I
it out.
think I think it was.
Did they take it out? I never even knew that they took it out.
Oh yeah.
They did take it out.
They
Oh,
took
so
it
it's
out.
not in there anymore?
No, and that happened when I was in school, but it happened after
Oh.
grade school because, like high school, I don't ever remember doing the Pledge of Allegiance in high school. I don't think.
I don't think we even said the Pledge of Allegiance by the time we got to high school.
Right. I think it was all grade school, maybe middle school. But at
Yeah.
that point, yeah, I was already past that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't know that they'd taken it out. That's good.
Well, what was life growing up for you in Brooklyn that a kid today would not experience growing up in Brooklyn?
Well, I don't know if kids play in the gutter in the street anymore. Stickball or punch ball.
How has Brooklyn changed over the years?
Oddly enough, my neighborhood, Bensonhurst, Bay Parkway and 84th Street and the environs, uh, had not changed that much by the 1990s. I guess the last time I went down through that neighborhood was in 2009, something like that, the last time. And it wasn't much different. All the houses were the same, just about. The same private houses. There were fewer trees. That was something that was different. And instead of Italians and Jews, it was like Russian. A lot of Russian immigrants in that neighborhood now. But the basic look of it was the same, and they were even the last ones to get cable TV. So when I visited that and walked around the streets in the 90s, there was still antennas on the roofs. So you could have taken a picture and it could have been a scene from the 50s. There wasn't anything physically different about it. So that was an odd thing with so much change and all.
So has it reverted back now since 06 when everybody's got off-air
Okay.
antennas again?
I don't know. I actually haven't been there. You know, I took my wife back in the early 2000s and we drove around just to show her my own neighborhood.
Where do you make your home now?
I'm sorry.
Where do you make your home now, Lenny?
A little town called Bethel, Connecticut, Western Connecticut, just outside of Danbury. Good. Wonderful little place. We were very lucky to find it. And
you don't have a commute into the city?
No, well, that's when we retired. I retired in 1999, so it's been 25 years. And, you know, talk about staying young or even staying alive. I was fortunate enough to be able to retire at age 58. And that made a tremendous difference in my life as far as removing stress. I was out of the jingle business by then. I was out of the music business. It had all kind of grown past me and people of my generation that were in it. You know, just like sports, you know, you just have like a window of opportunity for your career, and then the younger guys all start taking over. And that's what happened to me with jingles and being a studio singer, a background singer. It all kind of dried up in the early 90s, and I had to work as a proofreader to make ends meet, you know, until I could be old enough to retire. And
I think you mentioned once that you hated that.
Oh God! If I had to keep doing that for another 5-10 years, I probably would have been dead, or at least somebody with serious heart condition, heart disease. It was very. I hated it. I thought I was wasting my time. I was spending hours a day proofreading junk mail. That was what the job was. I used to have a motto: letter perfect from the mail to the pad.
There you go. Apparently, do you like long drives in the car with your wife? It looks like she's got your little carrier behind you.
Behind me,
there's a carrier.
No carrier.
I was trying to make
a cat carrier.
I was trying to make a little joke
cat.
About taking you out in the cat carrier.
Yeah. Yes. She doesn't like to go for long drives. But yeah, that's the cat case.
Tell me about your pets, because Paulie has a dog. I've had pets, and I miss having pets. Tell me how your pets increase the quality of your life?
Well, when we lived in the city, we had 3 cats, and when the last one finally died, we thought we would just kind of give it a break before we got any more cats, and that break lasted for like more than 25 years. But finally, it was our 40th wedding anniversary a couple of years ago, and we were running out of things to give each other for our anniversary. And Lana suggested that why don't we just both of us get a cat? That'll be our present to each other, is to get a cat.
And they could play with it. The cats could play with each other.
No, just one cat. One cat.
Oh, okay.
For both of us.
got
And
it.
we named her Ruby because the 40th anniversary is the Ruby anniversary. I looked that up. And she's fine. She doesn't want any other cats. They told us at the shelter that she doesn't get along with other cats. And it was only if we were not planning to get any more that she would be okay with us. And we're fine because she's more than enough. And she's also, she takes the stress away. You know, you have some little being there that you can express love to and that you can kind of have fun with, you know. And I think that helps your health, is to have a pet. You know, that's something that an object that you can express your love to.
What a milestone, the 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Thank you.
I've been with my wife now 24 years, but we've been only married for 2 years, going on 3, and coming up on the 3rd wedding anniversary, which I hear it's the IOU anniversary. I'll get you next year. Let's go to Denny's and get the senior meal. Whatever it is, it's that. And so, yeah. Good. So, congratulations. That's a great thing. And we've got cats. A cat latched onto me about 2.5 years ago, and just wanted to be my buddy and follow me everywhere. As soon as I got out of my car, wouldn't leave me alone all weekend. I finally ended up doing the wrong thing, which was feeding it and giving it water.
No.
And it wouldn't go away. Then it got into my house, then hid itself and had 7 cats. 7 kittens. Here's the kicker. The reason I love cats, I love animals. I'm a dog person. I've always been a dog person, but love animals in general. I'm allergic to cats, folks.
Oh, that's the thing.
And it's really bad. But now we kept basically 5 of the cats, the mom and 4 of the kittens. And now I'm living with 5 cats, a dog, and my family.
All right.
It started off as my wife bringing me the one very unique kitty out of the litter and just kept putting it in my face and putting it in my hands. And I'm like, let's name it. They wanted to name them, and I'm like, as soon as we start naming them, we're done with. I can see they're letting this go. Oh man. So it was just over and over. Anyway, so they bring a lot of joy and happiness to your life. I mean, I can't tell you what there's nothing that reduces my stress more, other than sex, than petting a cat or taking my dog out to throw the ball in the park for him and stuff. I'll tell you, that's happiness. That's bliss.
Yeah. And dogs will love you unconditionally. Cats really don't give a fuck.
Right. Cats don't. So when you get affection from a cat, you know you must have done something to earn it.
Something right.
That's
and
right.
Even when you don't, you admire their standoffishness.
Oh,
their ability to turn the other way, turn the cheek, and like I love both dogs and cats.
Yeah, I do too. We've never had a dog, but I love dogs too. But I'm really more a cat person. A cat, certainly I live my whole life in the city, and it's certainly a lot easier to have a cat in the city than to have a dog in the city, or just anywhere. It's easier to have a cat.
I gotta tell you guys a funny pet story. Growing up, we lived in the city too, in apartments. No way would my father or mother keep a pet. I brought a rabbit home from camp once. My brother would say that he brought the rabbit home and it was his, but it really was mine. And I'm going to tell him that next time I see him. But, so my mother says, it's okay, I guess, but you're going to have to take care of it. So one can imagine, if they know me, how much I took care of that rabbit. And one day, my mother, I come home, there's no rabbit. And my mother said, we gave it to the cleaning woman.
Ooh.
She has a place for the rabbit. So,
feeling I know where that is.
The next Friday,
oven.
it was the frying pan. The next Friday, I come home. I said, how's the my high voice? I'm a kid. I did love the rabbit. I just didn't know what to do to take care of it. Change it, feed it. I didn't know from that. She says, delicious. Just like that. It really, it was like the Giants leaving. It was almost heartbreaking. Now, how could you fucking eat a rabbit? A pet. I mean, I understand you're hungry, but how could you eat a pet that you knew had people around it? If you shoot a rabbit, Bugs Bunny type.
I was just going to say, every time the word bunny comes up, I think Bugs.
Elmer Fudd.
And then when you're like, oh, the wabbit, I'm thinking of the Barber of Seville.
Right.
Oh,
those
classics.
Those cartoons were unbelievable. They did talking about baseball and Bugs Bunny, the creator of Bugs Bunny. They did a baseball game that I don't remember how it went, but Bugs either ran for everybody or hit. Bugs was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, Bugs was cool. Certain cartoons stick out in my brain. So Bugs Bunny, a lot of Looney Tunes stuff, right? All those characters. Also, even just like, oh my gosh, just there's so many. Woody Woodpecker,
right?
Popeye, so many weird
Sylvester and Tweety. Remember Sylvester and Tweety?
Tom and Jerry,
but
one of my favorites.
Nothing can compete with Bugs looking in the camera after fucking with Elmer Fudd and
breaking the fourth wall.
Right? He says, "Ain't I a stinker?"
Yeah.
The ultimate line in cartoons. Other than
I like how Bugs would grab Elmer Fudd and give him a big kiss.
Yeah. And it would be a
smooch.
It would be a big old smooch, and
big smack right on his face.
Or I think Bugs Bunny got me ready to come to San Francisco. I had never been to San Francisco when I was that young. Well, I think I was, but I don't remember it. But I think Bugs Bunny was the first person I ever seen dress and drag.
That's interesting.
Right?
Do you remember Finocchio's in San Francisco? Were you around then?
No.
Big nightclub and a drag place. My father and mother came out to visit, and I took them to Finocchio's. My father liked that show a little too much. but who am I? Anyway, I want to just say there was one more cartoon that affected my life, a line from a cartoon. It was, and this prepared me for relationships with women.
Okay.
It was Stroke Natasha. Stroke.
What was that one?
It was Boris and Natasha.
Oh, Boris and Natasha.
And she was rowing the boat and he was sitting there, and they were going somewhere. And stroke, Natasha, stroke. She was.
There's certain things I really miss about our culture. I mean, there's definitely some stuff I'm so glad we got rid of. Right. And I'm glad that we're working on other stuff, but there's some really neat stuff that we lost along the way. And cartoons was, I mean, cartoons are cool, but they've evolved to a point of where it's hard for, when you watched a Bugs Bunny cartoon, you could have 3 generations of people watching it and enjoying
and
it.
laughing.
Right. Because they would all be laughing at some different part of it. There was an inside joke for the adults. There was the regular kid humor, and then there was some other stuff hidden in there for the weird people in us.
There was Bugs getting over. We talked about Elmer Fudd.
Right.
Bugs getting over on Elmer made us feel like there's a rabbit, getting over on a human who was dressed in that silly hunting outfit, and he had a speech impediment. Or some.
That's why I liked. It's funny. I liked some of the ducks, like Daffy Duck. Daffy Duck was silly and cantankerous, and just kind of a mischievous soul.
Yes.
And so,
and Scrooge McDuck,
or Donald Duck. Donald Duck was always mad and pissed off, like he should be on Xanax or something, right? And so. He probably would be currently on Xanax. That would be great. Here's Donald Duck for Xanax. I'm not going to do my Donald Duck because I don't need to.
Well, yeah, I'm waiting for the Donald Duck impression.
Yeah.
That's about it. You make sounds. It's very hard to make real words.
Right. All you can do is make the
Mel
ducks
Blanc
quack.
was a
and
genius.
It's very hard to do, knowing how many great impressionists there were. It's hard to give an impression of Donald Duck into a microphone.
Well, the only 2 words that you can say without any problem are, oh boy. You can say, oh boy, in the Donald. You can say that. But those are the only 2 words you can say.
Well, it's funny because, you kind of, under your breath, you mentioned the master of it all, Mel Blanc. And so that guy could have a conversation with a cast of characters all by himself, and it would come out. And wow, we lost him a little too young too, because he had a car accident.
Really?
Yeah, he had a car accident.
Ernie Kovacs is a good example of people we lost young who had a Kovacs, had a car accident, and was funny in any generation. I remember seeing Mel Blanc on the Johnny Carson show.
Right.
And he made Johnny laugh with those voices and those characters, and it made me realize all humor has credence. And when I was doing comedy, I'd see all kinds of people, and myself included. You could say I wasn't very funny, but there was a certain something, and all comedians need to be respected for whatever getting on stage,
and let alone getting on stage. People say, "Oh, you're so brave," and I go, "No, I'm just crazy. I'm stupid. I'm not." And so I do it. I do it for a totally selfish reason, for attention. And so I'm just being honest.
What do we all do as comedians, podcasters, people? What you did
should be.
Look at me, Mom. You
have to entertain people. Well, okay, if you're a comedian, you have to make them laugh. First and foremost, you have to make them laugh, but you have to entertain the people, right? I like it if it's like an inspirational movie. You know how after you've watched an inspirational movie in the movie theater and you walk out and you're like, I can change the world. I've watched movies like what was it, Aaron Brockovich, about the water and stuff like that. You walk out and you're like, oh, I can change this world. I can make sure that people are gonna that's the kind of entertainment I like. That's the kind of entertainers I like, even comedians. I want to laugh, I want to think, and I want to be inspired. Let me share this with you guys. This is the late, great Robin Williams. And let's see if we can follow this.
Thank you very much. Howdy. I'm the one that they're singing about. Yeah, I'm the Stars and Stripes Forever. Star Spangled Banner. You can call me Old Glory, but let's just... Thank you very much. Howdy. I'm the one that they're singing about. Yeah, I'm the Stars and Stripes Forever. Star Spangled Banner. You can call me Old Glory, but let's just keep it simple. Just call me Flag. Oh, say, can you see? Okay. Still flag humor. Well, you probably don't recognize me. You say, who is that, Evel Knievel? No way. Yeah, you see, you can't recognize me because...
I'm in my birthday suit, yes.
I'm wearing the original 13 here. Yeah. I remember Miss Betsy sitting there going,
Oh, this could be the start of something big. Whoa. Oh, Tom, don't be a pain.
yes. I was born June 14th, 1777. That makes me a Gemini. Unpredictable, crazy. Yes, I like the outdoors, and I'm the life of any party, whether it be Republican, Democrat, Independent, Socialist, anything libertarian, I'll be there. You know, I'm 204 years old. People say, Flag, how do you stay so young? Is it jogging? No. Is it tennis? No. It's waving. You know what I'm talking about? You know, we're talking about billowing, furling, and unfurling. Richard Simmons, eat your heart out. Yeah, but it hasn't always been easy for me, though. I had a tough puberty. Yeah, war, famine, invasion. And 1861, well, I had a little skin problem that broke out into 34 stars. But now, well, little patience, and look what we got now. Look at this. Hold on here. Ha-ha! Ha-ha! Oh, 50! Everybody's on here. Look at this. Alaska. Hawaii. Yeah, we got your Tennessee. How are you doing today? Here's Vermont. You can't get there from here. Oh, and there's California. For sure, totally. Yes, like I said before, you know, I had a tough time for a while. I've been in a lot of wars. They fired missiles and muskets at me, but you know, come the dawn's early light, I'm still there. You know what I'm talking about? And you know, I've been made into everything from designer jeans to t-shirts, and I've even been a cape for Mick Jagger. Well, all right. The Rockets' red glare. Well, all right. But people haven't always been respectful to me. Sometimes it's been tough. There have been some people try and spit on me, trample me, burn me. Foreigners and occasionally some Americans too, but I don't let it get me down because I'm not a stay-at-home kind of flag. You know, I've been to Europe. I've been to both North and South Pole. I was at Iwo Jima. Recently, I've even been to the moon. You see me in all sorts of different postures. When I'm like this, that means everything is okay. When I'm upside down, well, put on your Mae West and hit the deck. But when I'm like this, well, that's not my favorite position because, well, that's half-mast. I don't mean to bum you out. I didn't come here to depress you. But I got to tell you something honestly. I haven't been getting out much lately. I guess it's not very chic to put up the flag anymore, you know. Muffin and I have a flag, but we haven't found it for very long. Hey, but look at it this way. Don't look at it as saluting me. Look at it as saluting yourselves. You know, hey, I'm just a flag, a symbol. You're the people. If I may say so from here, long may you wave.
There's a little bit of the late great Robin Williams, folks.
Who Paulie and I both have had interactions with.
Yeah.
I opened for him once at the Holy City Zoo.
I did too when it was Dirty Tricks 40 years later.
Whoa.
Okay, there you go.
And you have a much longer storied career in comedy as well as being a producer, a podcaster yourself. You are a very, very versatile young man.
Well, we try to do. We try to be that way. You know, it harkens back to the old actors and actresses where they would do everything. They would sing, dance, even if they did it shitty. They would sing, they would dance, they would act, they would do it all. Nowadays, it seems like everybody's a la carte. It's like, oh, that's not my department. That's not my thing. Really? Get out of your comfort zone. People go, oh, you have a great voice. I have a lousy singing voice. But I've tried to sing, and I've done it on stage, and I like getting out of my comfort zone, but I feel like I'm doing karaoke at that point. So, we're going to take a short break. Something to pay the bills. It's only a minute or so, but this is our fine people over at Park Social and our friend Jada. So we'll be right back after this break. Okay, guys? Park Social, located at 1222 Park Street, Alameda. Open 9 to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, with specials every day of the week. Look us up on the web at parksocialalameda.com. Again, that address is 1222 Park Street in Alameda. Phone number is 510-747-9707. And don't forget to tell them Zig sent you.
Yeah, well, not just M. See Jada. Jada is a senior bartender at Park Social, which, if you haven't guessed, is a 420 dispensary. There are 4 in Alameda, and Park Social has knowledgeable people, ambiance, friendly people, and good prices. And so that's like a grand slam home run Jada special.
So tell them Zig sent you. Tell them The Edge sent you. And Paulie B, we're there. It's Park Social right there in Alameda. They'll show you love. All right, we're back here live. And I can see our guest actually made it back from the break.
Yes, intrepid me. I made it back.
Right. Well, I was betting 2-1 you wouldn't come back.
It'll be my chance to get out of this.
Yeah, that's right. He's got to make. If he was going to make a break for it,
Make a break for it, right? Not take a break. Make a break.
Take a break. Make a break, for Christ's sake.
That's good. So we're back here for the little second and or last part of the show.
Well, I want to ask you, Lenny. What do you do recreationally besides the cat? Now, how do you keep? Because I know from being semi-retired since I was 28, literally. My father died at 62. 5 minutes after being retired, And I said to myself, I will never work 40 hours a week again. Um, and I'll never work under the wrong conditions again. And I'm going to live my retirement early. So I've had a lot of adjustment, and it's still sometimes difficult to be retired and find something that interests you at that moment. At that moment. So I'm going to ask you, what do you do to keep because the motor's got to still be running. What do you do to put it in gear on a daily basis?
Well,
and God help you if you say this. God help us both.
No. This is like a break from the things that I do.
Oh, thank
you. I do a lot of crossword puzzles, tons of crossword puzzles, several every day. The tough ones, cryptic crossword puzzles, British newspaper cryptic, which that's one of my vices is doing these crossword puzzles. And I think as a writer, it really is helpful to look at words in different ways, not the expected or the first thing that comes to your mind when you see a word, but all the different meanings words can have. And that's what crossword puzzles do. And it helps me with my writing, which is what I have done in my retirement. I've written, I've gotten 50 short stories published in different literary magazines. I got 2 novels, which is I'm going to now hold up one of them, and this is the one that really kind of got me into on this show. Yeah. Die Hard Fan. It's called Die Hard Fan. Can I hold? I can't get to the camera. Die Hard Fan.
It's about those times you lived in.
That's right. This is in the last week of about the last week of the 1951 baseball season. It ended with Bobby Thompson's horrible, to me, wonderful to you, home run shot heard around the world. And this is a murder mystery that takes place in that week leading up to it, in which tensions run so high and the enmity between Dodger and Giant fans is boiling over. And one person in particular can't help himself, and he actually kills people with his rage for what he sees is probably coming at the end of this week, because the Dodgers are very slowly being overtaken by the Giants. And in this point, from the point I picked the story up, they're only 1 game ahead of them, and they've just lost a doubleheader up in Boston, while the Giants have won their game in Philly. And in a game where if the Dodgers had won the doubleheader and the Giants had lost the game in Philly, they could have clinched. But instead, now they're only 1 game ahead with a week to go, and we all know how this all ends. And so I've constructed a fictional world around that of Dodger fans and Giant fans and murder and police detectives, that ultimately, the hero of the book is a 12-year-old boy named Eddie Fine, who is a staunch Dodger fan and whose father taught him to love the Dodgers. And he is afraid that his father is the murderer. And he can't accept that. He wants to prove that his father is innocent. And so he goes about that as best he can for a 12-year-old boy. And over the course of the week, he's finding out more and more things that seem to make his father look more guilty. And he's running up against it. And ultimately, the final climax takes place simultaneous with Bobby Thompson's home run. So if you're a baseball fan, or if you're a mystery fan, this is for you. Die Hard Fan. It's on Amazon.
Hold it up one more time. I'm going to take your name down so we can see it better. Sorry.
Okay. Hold it up again?
Yes. There you go.
There we go. Die Hard Fan. It's available in hardcover and paperback, and also Nook and Kindle. And you can get it on Amazon and on BarnesandNoble.com.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, because
Thank you.
it's
Thank you.
baseball. I read the last fiction I read was a trilogy. Trilogy. You wonder why I can't write.
Well, no, I'm just telling you,
And
this is why Zig is in the zone, folks.
And I wrote a book, for Christ's sake. But it was Bang the Drum Slowly.
Yeah.
And the trilogy, it was the South Witch, I can't remember but it was in the dialect of the character.
Mm-hmm.
So that it was like being in that 1950s. I'm going to ask you about that trilogy. Who comes to mind in that? Was it not Sal Magley?
We talking about the only thing that I know about Bang the Drum Slowly was the movie.
Right.
So,
but there was the book.
But
there was the character. Yes, there was the book and the movie were very close.
Yeah.
But the character, the main character, I think there was a lot of Sal Magley in him.
Okay, I never thought of the connection. I know he's the picture. He's telling the story.
Right, and grew up in upstate New York, and this, that, and the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Sal Magley was one of my heroes as a kid. And when he went, he didn't just go to the Dodgers. He went to
the Cleveland Indians first.
Right.
And then the Dodgers got him in mid-season.
So I never thought in a million years, well, he's older, but you get rid of him. Then when he went back to the Dodgers, and this is from a Giants fan perspective, and he pitched a no-hitter, and that same Jack Pitler carried him off in a very famous picture and it was like he was my hero, and now he's somebody else's hero. But why can't he still be my hero? Why'd they have to get rid of him, as a 10-year-old, what have you? So, boy, baseball does a lot to your emotions over the years.
And, it does, and I mean, from a Dodger perspective, it was like surreal. It was like Alice in Wonderland, with Sal Magley, who was the arch villain. I mean, he fit the part. He didn't shave on the day of the game. He had scowl. There's a great picture of him in a giant uniform, looking into the slime, and it's like the face of evil. That's what his face looked like. I mean, the intensity with the swarthy face. And when he came over to the Dodgers, he saved them. He saved the pennant. They only won the pennant on the final day of the year, and he won 15 games or something in a half a season. And he pitched a no-hitter in a hugely important game, down the stretch. And he was the pitcher opposite Don Larson, and he pitched a great game. Gave up 2 runs. And it was like a wasted performance, unfortunately, because of Lawson's perfect game. But Magley went from villain to hero for Dodger fans, and it was surreal. It was absolutely unreal.
Right. Now, putting baseball into perspective, all this happened in 1956.
Right.
By the end of 1957, 1 year later, with all of that it meant to the city, the kids had to grow up without a team, me included, but I'm thinking of the Dodger fans at this point.
Right.
Talk about the Giant fans had to grow up without Willie in his prime. in his first prime. I got to see, I was out here in California in his second prime. So I got to see Willie totally different. He had lost the joy for baseball because of life. And when Willie first came out to California, San Francisco, he couldn't, I might have talked to you about this before, he could not buy a house because of the color of his skin.
That's
He
right. Yes,
was,
we did talk about this before.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other in New York, he played in his neighborhood.
What people did to Willie and killed his spirit. It wasn't the only thing that killed his spirit. He had a bad marriage. Marguerite, I remember. But and the way baseball turned out, and having the mind fuck of Barry Bonds as your godson. You didn't mean you. It must have been Willie did things right from the standpoint. A little red juice on occasion in the hot summer, but to see what baseball turned into as a culture in his time must have been one of the things that made him as bitter as he was. But I digress. The Brooklyn kids were the ones that suffered the most.
Yes.
Why did they suffer? Because in your day, you could go to the supermarket and run into Jackie. In your day, Gil Hodges lived in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right. So that had to make it, as a fan, much tougher. And I wish on some level I had listened to Don Zimmer, whom we went to the St. George Hotel, my uncle and I, in the winters, where they had a saltwater swimming pool. And Don Zimmer lived in the St. George, at least the year or two that we went there that I could remember. And he'd swim with us, and he tried jokingly always, because he knew that wasn't going to happen. He tried to get me to be a Dodger fan. He said, "I'll get you tickets." I said, "To that bandbox?" That's what I said, because we got to be friendly enough. My uncle was friendly enough with him that we could say things. We were New Yorkers; we could say anything.
Oh, sure.
Because I said it jokingly, of course. I would have loved those tickets. I would have loved to meet Happy Felton and be skilled enough to play ball before the Dodger game, and have a Dodger. Gil Hodges would be great, because the only thing I would have ever been would have been a too short first baseman. But I love that Dodger memory, the Dodger memories, incredibly. So that's why I say it was a tragedy to the kids growing up, not to lose their team and lose the intimacy of having a player. Running into a player while you go shopping on a regular basis. And there were no gates on fences to keep people out of their community. When you become a major leaguer today, automatically you're a millionaire. I mean, after you prove yourself a little bit,
and deservedly,
right? Because you made it past a bunch of
people. You're one of the best people in the world at what you do, and what you do makes billions of dollars for other people.
But it changes. That money can change you and how you relate to people.
Well, of
And
course.
you don't see players relating to kids like they did when we were
I don't
kids.
know if people have the opportunity as much. I think some of them are doing it, but other ones I don't know if they are.
Yeah.
But
And they're selling their autographs for upwards of $100 at card shows. That doesn't make you good with kids. When you look
No.
up and what's your name and write it down. And because when I went to hotels for autographs as a kid, I would revel in getting a conversation started
Mhm.
and seeing these people. I remember not baseball but hockey. Gordie Howe would sit with the players in the hotel and chat with them and be human.
Yeah.
And Eddie Shack would do the same thing, as a matter of fact. But I and Val Fontaine, that one was for George Grimm. He knows. I'm not going to tell the Val Fontaine story. The days of hero, when you're a hero worshiper, ended as a kid at that point. Still
Mm.
love baseball, worship them, but not as a hero. And
Well, the other thing that's changed, and it had to, because really the players that we were watching were just, indentured servants, that needed other jobs in the off season. But they were on the team and would stay on the team, and it wouldn't be like, little kids now are hearing about contracts and contract extensions and
right.
and clauses, escape clauses, and all this business stuff that little kids, that's not the baseball that
They
they should
read the
be
paper like
become
you and
familiar
I
with.
did from the
And
back
also the guy
page.
that's your hero now. I mean, imagine this, for example, Juan Soto. Imagine a little kid now growing up, Yankee fan, Juan Soto. Okay, man, oh my God, and hopefully the best is yet to come in the World Series. But he could be on the Mets next year,
I
or
doubt if
any
he
other
could.
team, but particularly he could be on the Mets.
He could
So,
be, but that would be so outrageously wrong
of course
because
it
of
would. Of course it would. But
the
that's the system.
tradition and carrying it on.
Yes.
I read a lot of Yogi Berra books. What trying to get my fill of getting to know Yogi well, if you and they in that day they couldn't play out their option, but they wouldn't think of it. They wouldn't have had. Um, well, they would
They didn't
have
have a
enjoyed.
choice. They didn't have a
They didn't
choice.
have a choice, but
But
it
free
made for the
agency,
every year there was Yogi from 47 to
right,
61.
right.
Made it easy to be a Yankee fan.
Well, that's as I'm saying.
Yeah,
A kid could identify with the team and didn't have to get into the business side of it.
exactly. I
And
started
now
to say
it's all
we
part of the
read the
same thing.
paper as kids from backwards to forwards. The sports section was on the back,
Back, yeah.
and we didn't get to the front news until Kennedy took over. Until there was a crisis that was going to be potentially
Yeah.
nuclear, and so we didn't give a fuck about big business. We cared about baseball, and and to move a team, not just the Dodgers and Giants, Philadelphia, they lost the team. Um, the
The A's are going to
Boston
be
Red,
playing in a
the
minor
A's,
league
right,
stadium the
and
next 2 years.
Boston too, and the A's, and now they're going to be moving again
Yeah.
and breaking their hearts. I always say this in conversations like this: there should be eminent domain.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can move the team, but you can't use the same name, and you can't use the uniforms anymore. The Oakland A's should be the Oakland A's, and if they move to Las Vegas, then they're a different team.
And you got to give local ownership.
Give the city the ownership of that name. So let's say the Oakland A's.
Not just the A's.
Well, I'm just using
not just the name.
Any team, any city.
I didn't mean that. Not just the name. The team itself shouldn't be allowed to move until alternate owners to buy the team make bids. So if you own a team, you own it it stays the A's. You could sell it, but
it got to stay in Oakland.
It's got to stay.
It has to stay in that city's proper.
Right.
Right, and the city is paying for the stadium to start with.
Yeah.
So there's certainly good cause to say that the city has as much ownership of the team as the owner does.
Well, I can't tell you how the city and the team itself screwed the pooch on this one.
Well, but okay, so that's what I was just going to say is part of the reason the A's are leaving is they didn't get a new Coliseum and they're not fixing the old one.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So for years you've gone out there and they've had like sewage spills and stuff like that.
Well,
and it's like, I'm sorry, that's just disgraceful. There should also be a clause in their contract that the city has to do something. They can't be slumlords. They have to, maybe renovate or keep things to code. I mean, we're all worried about getting sued because somebody's handicapped and there isn't a ramp or this and that. And there should be.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, then you have to take other things in consideration, like, again, the sewage and blah, 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 and the parking lot and whatever they're dealing with.
But don't think the A's didn't put on the premise that they were going to, and it was all bullshit, that they were going to negotiate a deal where they get
a new stadium.
Either that or build a new stadium in the parking lot and tear the other one down and build, as teams have done,
right,
and make it a stadium, or on the waterfront facing that gem of a ballpark.
They'd take out your bird sanctuary.
No, it wouldn't.
Well, that's what they do.
They wouldn't, because it wouldn't be in Alameda. And it's not a bird. It's, as Lenny will tell you, it's a Boyd sanctuary.
It's a Boyd. It's a Boyd.
And I visited every morning with my mocha, my medium mocha Java. Mocha
I wonder those
frappe,
birds are always high, like they're on coffee.
I don't know.
They're
but
flying around, flapping their wings really fast.
I've been watching them for years. I'm going to reverse it and have the birds watch me. And that's going to be change the way things go in a different environment or whatever.
Now, since we have Lenny, before we let him go, we have Lenny, and he's skilled at many things, but one thing I want him to, we're going to put him on the spot. We're going to see what happens here. We're at Edge Studios in San Francisco. That's right. Edge Studios online. We say keep standing up, because we want you to keep standing up for what you believe in. That's what we do with our podcast. But you know what? We need a jingle. I'm thinking we need a jingle about us here in San Francisco. So how you go about formulating a jingle? Is it you get some facts about it? Run us through that before we let you go and we give you your last minute plugs and everything else.
Okay. Most of the time, the advertising agency would generate a lyric, and we would be competing with putting music to it. But I also sometimes got assignments where I wrote the lyrics from scratch. Very few jingle writers also wrote lyrics. They were mostly musicians, great musicians and arrangers. And, I always felt like I was in a hell of a competition whenever I was trying to win a jingle. But if they asked me, for instance, to write lyrics, they would give me copy points, what they would like to say, and they would like that, well, the slogan is this. Usually you get the slogan, they've got that, what the campaign is going to be. And then I would, call upon the music gods to give me inspiration to write lyric, to write a lyric that fit that kind of thing, and then also fit 30 seconds. And they would have like uh, uh, um, boundaries that it had to be 30 seconds, couldn't be longer than that, and they wanted to get an announcer spot in the middle of 5 seconds. So you had to have the music go under for 5 seconds, and then at the end of the guy's spiel, the singers come back in. You had to get that, and it had to come out at 30 seconds and all that stuff. And that was the challenge. I was greatly anxious whenever I got a jingle assignment, because I hoped that I could do it. And I always was able to do it, so it all worked out. But it was always stressful when somebody would say, "Okay, we got a jingle assignment for you." I go, "Oh, great!"
So now, which one of your jingles came to you like that, really quick? And which product was it, if you can mention it? And if you remember the jingle, go for it.
Oh God! Well, all right. Well, I wrote a jingle for Cup of Soup back in the early '70s that was very big. The thing about these commercials, very few of them stand the test of time. I'll tell you a commercial that was very big back in 1973, and you won't even remember it.
Right.
So this was Cup of Soup, and the line that I got was "Cup of Soup is quickalicious." That was the other, quickalicious.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So I had that, and so I.
Do you copyright that line?
I didn't. They do. Jingle writers got paid a fee. Only if you won the competition, then you get a couple of $1,000s.
So no one could ever.
But they
still. The main thing is you get to sing on it, and that's where the money is. It was in the residuals from being a singer. A lot of the work I did was just as a studio singer, and I didn't have to do anything more than show up, read the music, sing the thing, and thank you, sign the W-2 form, and thank you very much. So I mean that was really fun and great, but writing the jingles was always stressful for me.
Well, I mean, and it's funny because some of those things just stick in your mind no matter how long ago they were.
Yeah.
And I think that's the true test of time or of a good jingle is the test of time, right? I mean, I was just in a grocery outlet the other day and I started singing their jingle up at the front, and the guy goes, "If I hear this again," and I go, "Why? Do you have it on the overhead music?" And he goes, "Yeah, every third song there's a
right, yeah, no, it's subliminal,
market kind of thing going on." And I can't get that. If I ever hear that commercial, 1-800 for kids for cars for kids.
Oh, I hate that. Sorry.
I can't get it out of my head. I have to listen to a really shitty song.
Yeah.
To get it out of my head.
I know. But anyway, this Cup of Soup thing, I wrote several sets of lyrics that, just to give them a choice. And one time, and while I was trying to think of what the lyrics could be, I stopped in at a supermarket and looked at a package of Cup of Soup to see what the ingredients were. And holy shit, potassium sorbate, disodium guanylate, monosodium glutamate.
Wow, those are the ones you can pronounce.
Yeah, right. So I said, okay, these aren't good lyrics.
And
these
those are the ones that are least.
All right, I'm gonna give you my Cup of Soup jingle,
okay,
whether you remember it or not, but it was very big, very big.
Okay.
Cup of soup is quick, delicious, fast as boiling water takes. Cup of soup is quick, delicious, soup that only Lipton makes.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. I had dreams of, or like flashbacks to my mom locking me out of the house until she got home from work, be home before the street lights come on, those kind of things. So right on. Again, thanks for hanging out with us. Your book, I know it, and I'm gonna look at it. It is Die Hard Fan. A mystery
Die Hard Fan,
a mystery novel by Lenny Levine.
Right.
And
Never sealed on the cover.
there you go.
Amazon, available on Amazon.
There you go. And then you got something going on with jingles. You doing a book with jingles now?
Oh yeah, and yes, I got another book called Death in the Jingle Jungle.
There you go.
Wait, let me get that. I'm going to hold that up.
Sure.
There you go. And it's great because it actually has, I want to get that book because it looks like our studio with a microphone and a gun. It really
here it
looks like
comes.
San Francisco.
Here it comes. Death in the Jingle Jungle.
There you go.
Okay.
Both of
And
these
that's
are available.
That's more of a comedy mystery. Can I get this thing here?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to super and post it in there. You got it there.
There it is.
There it is.
Jingle Jungle. And that's also on Amazon. And that's about the jingle business.
There you go.
It's a murder mystery about the jingle business.
Lenny, please come back again.
Love to. Love to.
Thanks.
Music to our ears, because when you were singing the jingle, no pun intended, we looked at each other. We both put thumbs up.
Yeah, where's like yes.
We got it going as a podcast, and thank you for.
Thank you.
Always a blast hanging out with you. Thank you, Lenny, and we'll talk to you real soon. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, guys. We got to go straight to a commercial break because this is what pays the bills. This is Dennis's buddy. He keeps his car running. We'll be back on the other side of this just to say goodbye and then get out. We'll see you after this, guys. All right, check out D1 Mobile Auto Service Repair. That's 510-978-7064. Check out Dennis and his whole crew at D1MobileAutoservice.com. There's the hours. There's the address. There's the phone number, 510-978-7064. They're right there at 84th and International. And tell them Zig sent you.
Hey, I hope you will, because Dennis has the capabilities of being a master mechanic and the heart of being a human being. And you combine those two and you got something. He has given me peace of mind to drive an overpriced vehicle to repair. And he's been great for me. So
Zig, that's another one in the can.
Another one in the can, number 36.
You guys do that thing that you do. Go like, follow, and subscribe. Hit that little bell on YouTube on Comfortably Zoned and all their content. So that way, when a new show pops up, you get notified right there on the hip. For myself, Zig, man, it's been a blast, dude. We still have tickets. If you go and subscribe to his channel, we still have one set of tickets. Hand me them on the board over there.
Oh,
You see
no.
those over there, over there. The ones that are sticking up. See the ones sticking up? You can check out this show on Thursday, October 31st at Cobb's. That's right, Thursday, October 31st, 2024. Doors open at 6:30. Show starts at 7:30. It's called Ghostly, Ghastly, Get It. It's a game show starring Joe Klosek. Again, get your tickets. How do you get these tickets? You go to the Comfortably Zone Network on YouTube. You like, subscribe, and hit that little bell. Take a screenshot of it. Send it to us here at edgestudiosonline@gmail. That's right, edgestudiosonline@gmail.com. First person that sends us an email, we will send those tickets to you. We'll have them here at the studio or ship them out to you. Thank you very much. For myself, Zig, I know you want to say something. Do you?
I want to just say thank you, Paulie.
Thank you, Zig. And we're out of here. Stay in the zone, guys. We'll see you next week.